Hello, we are in 2024, approaching another general election. Well, do you remember all those bad incidents that happened in our previous election that affected the peace of the country? That is the chaos, fight, and stealing of ballot papers. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stella Abubiri with Juliana Ekufu and Andra Asante from Archbishop Secondary School, Takrade, and we are here to present to you some stress attack scenarios, its negative impacts, and how to prevent them, and some security measures that could be put in place before, during, and after election to ensure safe election and accurate results. This is the National Cyber Champions Competition 2024, organized by Cyber Ghana. So sit down, relax, and enjoy our presentation. First on my threat modeling is bribery and corruption. Some party officials may give us bribe in form of money or other assets to EC employee and voters, which influences EC employee to tamper with the result collation system in favor of that party and influences voters to cast their vote for that particular party, affecting the results and integrity of the election. This can be prevented by implementing cryptographic techniques, that is, changing the format of the voting data to prevent modification, and voters should be educated to vote based on their choice rather than being influenced to vote for that particular party. Second is the escrow injection. Unauthorized or even authorized people may be hired to inject malicious code into the voter registration system to manipulate and exfiltrate some personal voter data, such as names and addresses. This data could be used to suppress or even impersonate the voter, making the public lose trust in the election, affecting the confidentiality of the election. This can be prevented by implementing input validation mechanism, that is sanitizing any data inserted in the system. My third point will be the malware attack. Malicious software, such as virus and worms, could be introduced into the collation system and aggregation system, and this malware could bring about double counting of votes or even prevent some votes from being counted, affecting the accurate integrity of the election, that is making the results inaccurate. This can be prevented by installing and updating software regularly and scanning the system for vulnerabilities. My fourth point will be the denial of service attack, also known as the DOS attack. On election day, a DOS attack could be launched. That is, the EC website could be flooded with unnecessary data, making it inaccessible to voters, affecting the availability of the election. This can be prevented by implementing robust DOS prevention, that is, filtering and limiting ingoing and outgoing signals. My last point will be the unauthorized access by malicious EC employee. Some malicious EC employee may get unauthorized access to the result collection system to leak confidential data that could be the vote count to external parties, and this external party can base on the data to change the outcome or even influence political decision. This could be prevented by implementing data loss prevention and monitoring to prevent this attack.
Moving on to security measures before the 2024 elections. Do you remember or do you know about the Nigerian elections recently? They encountered problems with their bimodal voters accreditation and their IREVs, which was used to access information from the Electoral Commission. It couldn't go on because they had problems. These problems started from 2021, where they encountered these problems during their by-elections. Forwarding to 2023, during their general elections, they encountered the same problem. This could be due to they not assessing and identifying the vulnerabilities and the flaws in their collation systems. So we would like to advise the EC to adopt the use of performing vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, remediate issues ahead of the elections so that the EC won't encounter any problems in the future. Moving on to the officials. It is very important for the officials to be well aware of phishing attacks. They could be prone to phishing attacks during the election. That is why if they are being educated, not only educated, but also if phishing attacks are being demonstrated on how they work, it will also enable them to know how to go about it whenever they encounter phishing attacks, not only phishing attacks, but other cyber attacks too. Moving on to why it is best for us to know why separation of duties in the Electoral Commission is very important. Role-based assessments are very important because we could not put our trust in one person. That is why it is best if officials will be prevented from taking advantage of their positions to engage in malicious activities. With this, to implement strict access controls on sensitive systems. Using digital data integrity checks, one may ask, why is this important? It is important because when cryptographic hashes are being calculated, these hashes are assigned to each ballot paper. For instance, let's use a ballot paper. So these cryptographic hashes are assigned to each ballot paper. So whenever there is any altrances, it will be detected. So to prevent such tampons or to prevent alterations, they should adopt multi-factor authentication. That is another step layer for authentication, and also the cryptographic hashes, so that it will be very difficult to tamper data. Then we could not be there. We are not God, of course. So how would we know if someone is trying to change something physically or trying to cause destruction in the system? That is why it is very important that surveillance cameras should be present during the election, and also locks and tamper seals on the ballot boxes to prevent any distraction in the system. Thank you.
We then move on to the security measures to be put in place during the elections. Firstly, in the course of the election, there could be cases whereby voters may try to impersonate other voters and cast votes in favor of their party to increase their chances of winning. The EC must prevent this, and in order to do so, they have to implement robust voter verification procedures like the biometric authentication, the use of the indelible ink on the pinky finger of a voter to identify that this person has voted in order to prevent repeat voting, like what was done in Burma in 2020, leading to a safer election. Also, during the election, there could be cases of unwanted access and intrusion by unauthorized persons. These persons could use that access gained to indulge in malicious activities and fraudulent activities. In order to counter this, the EC must make sure to get a well-established security operations center with intrusion detection systems and other alerting devices, which they can turn on during the elections to monitor activities going on, to easily know if there are any changes in network or unusual behaviors. Also, in the course of the election, there could be sudden incidents or crises which, when not immediately attended to, could halt the election. The EC must have a well-prepared incident response plan that they can follow during the election to solve such incidents and crises. If the EC has a prepared incident response plan, it will help them maintain readiness to respond and promptly reply to these incidents. We then move on to the security measures to be put in place after the elections, that is, the post-election security measures. After the election, there could be cases where people or other parties may try to challenge the legitimacy and integrity of the election results, like 2012 coup, where MPP challenged the legitimacy of the results and petitioned the Supreme Court. The EC has to prevent these two, and in order to prevent that, they must do a verification and auditing after the election in order to ensure that the election results are legitimate and accurate. These procedures could include manual recounts and verification of the voter registration records. The last point for the day is the post-election fraud investigations or monitoring. The EC must make sure to go back to the Security Operations Center and review the logs of the monitoring software in order to know if there were any activities that were overlooked or which had gone by unseen. These activities may be malicious or fraudulent, which will affect
the election results. Thank you.
So, dear people of Ghana, we hope that with our presentation and your help, we can make this year's and the coming year's elections much more secure and safe. And we also plead with the Electoral Commission of Ghana to adapt these measures in order to ensure integrity, availability, and confidentiality of our elections. Thank you.